Welcome. My name is Araceli, wealth advisor and real estate investor in the US. And today I have Brad Rechamp, mortgage broker in Canada and in the US. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, who you serve, and so the audience knows you.
Hi, Araceli. Pleasure to be with you today. I'm a U.S. mortgage broker for residential mortgages in Texas and Florida, and I can do investment loans, which I've been speaking to you about. Investment loans for anybody buying investment properties in most states in the United States. I'm based in Toronto, Canada, and Palm Beach, Florida.
So that means that all those you Canadians that would like to invest in the US, Brad is the person that you want to speak to get the mortgage. And this is for any state, this is fantastic. We didn't have that before, and now we do. And so Brad is the person that you want to talk to. So one of the questions that I got, Brad, is about the state of the economy in the US. Now that you're involved, that you are actually issuing mortgages in the US, and also you're issuing mortgages for Canadians in the US. So what it is happening, what do you see in the near future when it comes down to interest rates, changes in the laws? Because you know that in Canada, we do have term in the mortgage. So we have a 3, 5, 7 years, usually 3 to 5 is the average term that we have in Canada, but terms are a little bit different in the US. So can you tell us a little bit about the difference in what you see the interest rates going and the economy? What could happen?
Well, I'm just to make it simple, you guys. A variable rate in Canada is called an ARM, adjustable rate mortgage in the US. Just the terminology is just a little bit different, that's all. So on an ARM, you can do 3, 5, or 7 years. And I think in Canada, what is it? You can go 1 to 3 years, or even 1 to 5, all the way to 5 years, right?
Yeah.
In the United States, you can actually for a full, so the term in Canada is 5 years maximum, the term, but in the United States, it's much better for investors or people that are buying. It's automatically a 30-year term.
Mm-hmm.
I can actually do a mortgage for 40 years interest only, believe it or not. It's a 30 or 40-year term. So if you do get a good rate, because I have a mortgage rate on a property I own in Jupiter, I'm at 2.8% for 30 years.
Wow.
So I'm in really good shape when it comes to that one property, because I know exactly what my expenses are going to be and everything else for many, many years. And they're pretty open to do payments down. As far as the economy, the rates in Canada and the US have been not very good the last 2 years, and they've gone up quite a lot. And they're just slowly, they haven't started in Canada down, as you can see, because the Bank of Canada is holding the rates because of the inflation rate. I think yesterday, reported from the Bank of Canada was 3.5%. They're trying to get it down to like 3 or into. It has started coming down slightly in the US, though. They're a little bit ahead of us. And I have seen some rate deductions of like around 1/8 of a point, slowly coming down. And I get lots of emails every day from all of the lenders saying that we're doing a little rate cut. So I could just see it cracking and starting to come down. And a lot of investors in the US, they really encourage investors to buy property in the US. I've had clients from Chile, from Brazil, from other countries, and of course, my main go-to people are Canadians, because I'm a Canadian and I can help them. So there is lots of money available to borrow for US investing.
This is actually fantastic news, because before it was a lot harder to get financing. So the only way that Canadians could invest in the US, at least in Ohio, where I invest, is with cash only. So that it makes a big difference, and it makes it a lot easier for people to come in, because you only need a very small portion of money in order to do a transaction. So now the only thing that you need is to make sure that you understand the area and the type of properties that you want to buy. You want to do flips, you want to do buy and hold for rentals, this is what is happening right now. Rentals, at least here in the Cleveland area, are fantastic for cash flow. And now you have a way in by using some of the financing that Brad can provide. So is there anything else that you want to mention about, what could happen? What could go wrong if, let's say that something goes really wrong with the economy, and a mortgage can be recalled in the US for a Canadian?
I mean, you can I'm not a lawyer, but I believe you can give the property back if you can't afford it. And that's why you should do it in a limited liability company, of course, right? So you should do that. In Canada, I know they'll go after you for losses, for bank expenses, for harm. It's called harm, in case you harm the bank in any way. You have a real problem if you give it. But I mean, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. That's the bottom line, no matter where you own property. Like you got to do what's best for yourself, like that. But the banks are pretty flexible, and you don't really default on a mortgage payment. A lot of people don't know this. Canadians don't know this. You don't default on a mortgage payment until the 25th day of each month. So here in Toronto, where I am today, the bank is calling you 2 days after the first of the month saying,
Yeah.
where's the payment? But you don't actually technically default on a payment until the 25th of the month in the US, which is interesting.
It's good.
If you had a little bit of problems or your rent's a little bit late or something like that, you can, gives you a few days to scramble to put the money together, to put it in the bank. And then you can tell the bank, okay, the money's in there, please take it out again. So, gives you some leeways that you don't have in Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of the things that I realized really quickly when I started investing in the US, is that transactions are easier to do. Now financing is a lot easier to qualify for. And the best thing is that you don't have a gap. So if you start finding and you have the down payment, you can continue to buy as many properties as you can afford to do that. And in Canada or in any other type of lendings, usually you're capped, especially if you go to the bank, to any bank, whether it's the US or Canada bank, they always cap you at a certain number of transactions. So this really opens up a lot of opportunity for people that are looking to invest their capital in an asset that is producing money.
And a lot of people don't realize the mortgage doesn't show up in the US, over here in Canada. If they ask you, that's why they ask you, do you own any properties in the US? So I mean, if you don't tell them, they don't know. But I'm saying it doesn't show on their records as a debt in Canada.
Yeah.
And there's no limit, like you said. So there's a lot of opportunities in the US to invest.
Yeah, absolutely. And now more and more, I am collecting this type of people like Brad that are really helpful for Canadians, because that was a big hurdle before, that we couldn't really get financing because of, going to a different country, and you don't have credit, you don't have assets, anything that can be verifiable in the US. But with this type of lending, now it's a lot easier because the property is the one that qualifies. You don't qualify as the property. So of course, you're gonna make sure that you're gonna invest in the right area and you have the right property, so you can qualify and you're safe, because at the end of the day, it's an investment, right?
Yeah, you still have to be prudent no matter where you invest. Do I have enough money? Do I have a slush fund? You always need extra money, right? Am I in the right area? How's the neighborhood? How's the crime rate? You have to feel good about what you're doing, and then ask people, ask experts, ask anybody you can. What is your experience over here? What is your experience here? Go to people that are smarter than you, more knowledgeable, and take that information to make a proper decision for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. But now we have the tools to get the financing when you have the right property. So that's excellent, Brad. Thank you so much for this, because I think this is something that Canadians, and not only Canadians, I think you can help other people from other countries, but because we are both Canadians, we're trying to get this information to you so you make an educated decision if you are looking to invest in the US.
Thank you. Pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you so much, and we will see you in the next one. I hope that you have much more information for us and for Canadians so they can make a big decision to invest in the US.
See you guys soon.
Yeah, bye.